Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about is the Holy Trinity and alternatives. Now the alternatives I'm going to talk about have two characteristics. One, they're not as expensive, and two, they lose their value. They don't lose their value. They lose the amount of money that people pay for them. They lose their price. I'll put it that way, which is really an opportunity for the collector, because if something loses its price, then when you pick it up, you can get a really good deal on it. Okay, let's get started. Now, the first one I want to talk about is the Patek Philippe Calatrava. This is a classic dress watch. It has a small seconds, but other than that, it's pretty classic. This is my Patek Philippe and Calatrava, and it's an older one, and it doesn't have any small seconds or anything. It's time only. Wonderful watch, works beautifully. I've had it for years. Now, the good and bad thing about Patek Philippe, they don't lose their value, and so if you get a used Calatrava, you're not going to save that much money. So let's say here's one that's $24,600. That's the MSRP price. And let's say you pick up a used one, same one in the $20,000. So it's good for the person who owns it and selling it, but it's not so good for the person who is looking for a better price on one. Now, the one thing I'm going to show you, they're not cheap. And they're not like really, some of them are pretty good price, but most of them are good, but not great as price-wise. The first one that I was thinking, well, the Senator Excellence, it's a 40 millimeters, it's 15,800. That's almost $10,000 less than the Calatrava, but it's essentially the same watch. It has center seconds instead of small seconds, which I happen to like anyway. And you got a gold, pretty much time only, kind of nice clean watch. And the only problem with it is it's an automatic. And usually when you're talking about a dress watch like this, you're talking about a hand wound watch, but that's okay. Now, another one that I just found the other day, one of the guys who's one of the subscribers, we were talking about this. He was thinking of getting one of these. It's a Cartier called the Ronde Louis Cartier. Now, this particular model is 36 millimeters and it's hand wound. One of the other things about dress watches is they tend to be smaller. And so if you're used to wearing something like a 40 millimeter watch, something like 37 or even 36 works fine as for a dress watch. So there are a couple other alternatives for you. Now, another Patek Philippe, one of the other, part of the Holy Trinity is Patek Philippe. This one is incredibly popular, the Nautilus. The list price for a stainless steel one is $33,710, which is a lot. On top of that, they're hard to find. I was on a cruise once and I saw a guy with one of these. They're really gorgeous watches. Love them. Now, I was thinking of an alternative to this, and one of the things that's pretty new is H. Moser Company Streamliner Center Seconds. Now, basically, this is pretty much the same as the Nautilus in terms of what it does, with one exception. It doesn't have a date. So that is a difference, but it has a very modern, very innovative look to it that I like a lot. Very much of a streamlined look, and it's called the Streamliner. More reminiscent, I think, of the old train streamliners of the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 1940s. Beautiful watch. 19,900. They only have a green dial right now, which I happen to like, but I'm sure they'll come out with other colors if it's successful. Now, another one that is, you can find great deals on this, and one I really like, and it's the Bulgari Octa Romo. Now, this one is 41 millimeters, and the list price is $66.50, which is really pretty good for, for a watch, what I'll call a luxury sports watch like the Nautilus. Both of them are luxury sports watches. The other thing is that I think it's BVL 191, in-house movement, and it's not a copy of, or a wannabe Nautilus. It's very much has the octo look of a lot of Bulgaris. The Bulgaris, I think is how they say it. Anyhow, those are some alternatives. To me, that I'd like to have, I can't quite afford it, is the Streamline. I love that watch. Okay, let's move on to the next Holy Trinity. And this is the Vacheron Constantin. Now, of the Vacheron Constantins I have, the one I get the most questions about, and it's like, oh, I love this watch, is this one. This is the Historiques 1921, American 1921. And it has the, right over here at around 1 o'clock, well, if you hold it like this, it's at 1 o'clock, but the crown is offset from the top line between 1 and 2 o'clock over here. Very unusual watch with I guess that would be a pillow shape. One thing is, another way to look at it is like this, and so it's sort of almost a diamond shape watch. The thing was that nobody else copied it or tried to make one like it. I think probably some fake ones were made, but otherwise there wasn't a lot of alternatives. So I thought, well, I'll take a look at another watch. And again, this is a dress watch. And it's not the Patrimony, which most people think of when they think of a dress watch for Vacheron Constantin. Rather, there's another one from the Historiques collection, Ultrafine, 1955. $30,500. That's a lot of money. 36 millimeters, 8K pink gold. Beautiful watch, very, very thin, and looks great. Now, in looking at a thin watch, the one that first one that I thought of was the Piaget Altiplano. Now, this is, when I say only, it's 16,500. Now, the thing about the Altiplano, you can find some really good buys on that on the pre-owned market. And you can also find them on the secondary market. All of these are hand-wound, by the way, except Classic, maybe automatic, but I'm not positive. Okay, so that's $16,500. And like I said, it drops pretty steadily. Now, the Piguet Classique is another one that came to mind because in this particular one that I found, this is from their current collection. That's another thing, too. I didn't want to pick one of the old ones that, well, you can find them yourself on the pre-owned market. But this was the closest I could come, or I felt I could come, for a Classique on the for brand new ones. And it's got the extra small second, but otherwise it's pretty much a time-only watch. And then it has the power reserve indicator up there between 1 and 2 o'clock. Another one, 19,000. Now, you talk about $19,000, you're talking about a lot of money, but that's $10,000. It's $11,000 less than the Historiques. The Altiplano is even a better deal than that, and if you start looking for them on a used market, you can find some great buys on that. Now, for sports watches, the sort of an iconic sports watch from Vacheron Constantin is the Overseas. Now, the Overseas is shown with a gaiter strap, but what it is that it comes with 3 straps. It comes with a gaiter strap, a rubber strap, and then a metal band. So, a metal bracelet. So you can really, it becomes a very interesting watch. Now, the big thing about the Overseas, and in 2016, they came out with a brand new model, usually referred to as the Overseas 3, or OS 3. That watch is the beautiful movement, great watch. I had one of the earlier versions of it, and I wore it for years. Love that watch. Now, much less, I mean, about almost half the price is a Girard-Perregaux Laureato 42. Again, a very good looking watch, sporty looking, luxury sports, and it looks like itself. That's, I mean, it's not, some may say, oh, that looks a little like the Nautilus, or it looks like the Polo, or something like that. I think it's Girard-Perregaux sort of nailed it right where it is right now. Now, something that may sound odd, this is sort of for a more affordable alternative than the overseas, but it's also from Vacheron Constantin. I've probably mentioned this before, but it's the Quadro U. This watch has exactly the same movement as the overseas. I think it's the caliber 5100. About the only thing that's different, I think on the overseas they have a gold rotor, and this one is made of rubium or some other kind of metal. This watch, so I love it. The Quadro is very likable watch. I've seen some great buys on it on both the used and secondary markets. This watch, so I tried one on when I went down back in 2016. I was going to get an overseas, ended up getting a FP Journe. So anyhow, but I tried on both of them, and I like the looks of the Quadro a little better. It was less expensive. You can see there by $5,000, and but you can find them for right around 10, 11,000, brand new. Wonderful watch, fantastic, and it has a hand date on the inner track. Love that watch. Okay, you think I like it? Yeah. Okie doke. Now, the third of the Holy Trinity is Audemars Piguet, and of course, the most iconic watch in their entire collection is a Royal Oak. And stainless steel Royal Oak sells for $21,800. Beautiful watch, love Royal Oaks. And but again, $21,800 is a lot of money. Now, one that I was looking at as an alternative was a Polaris Mariner date. And this watch has a lot of different features to it that you usually don't find in luxury sports watches. To me, the most important is the movement. The Jaeger-LeCoultre movements are fantastic. And this is I'm not too crazy about the dial. I mean, it's not bad, but it's okay. All right. Now, another one, this is brand new. It's called the Tonda GT from Parmigiani Fleurier, and it's $14,500. That's the list price of this. And like I said, it's brand new. Now, they changed a lot of things to get away from, I think, some of the problems they had. A lot of people didn't like they had a little, sort of like a little moon-shaped window with 3 dates, which was one at the top was the day before, in the middle was current date, and then tomorrow's date. I mean, they're just numbers, and so I mean, you can look at any window and say, all right, this one is this or that. Now, this one the Tonda uses a double window for the date, which allows you to make them a little bigger. And that one's not huge, but it's okay. So that's another sports watch, and it's a newer one. And I think it reflects the new direction that Parmigiani is taking. Also, too, they have great bracelets. I have a Colpo with one of their bracelets. Fantastic bracelet on that. Now, the final of the Holy Trinity I want to look at is the Jules Audemars Extra Thin. This one, it runs at 2.75 hertz, which I like a lot. It's $27,800, which is really expensive. And so I thought, well, let's see some alternatives. Now, I ended up with 3 alternatives. First of all is the Chopard LUCXPS. It's a 4 hertz, and it's an automatic, which is sort of not what you see in dressy. But I think a lot of the automatics that you see are like really dressed watch automatics are sort of more executive suite ones, and it's an automatic because you're really going to wear it to work and do whatever executives do. This one's 40 millimeter rose gold automatic. It's got a micro rotor, and the good thing about a micro rotor is that the watch can be thinner because you don't have to stack it on top of the rest of the movement, but rather the micro rotor can fit right in there. The problem with a micro rotor, this one has a micro rotor in it, and you can see how thin it is. But the problem with a micro rotor is that you have to make the balance a little smaller, and I like big balance wheels. I love this one though. Okay, now the final one is a Blancpain Villeray Ultra Plot, which means ultra thin. 3 hertz, 18 karat gold, and it's 19,400. Now this watch is really a very classic kind of dress watch. It does have a date, which is not what you usually expect in a dress watch, but it's basically 3 hands plus the date. Okay, that's a little more than you really want for a dress watch, but otherwise it's not bad. It would be a great sort of executive suite kind of watch. Now below it I have the same watch, the Villeray Ultra Plot, except it's in stainless steel, and it's $10,000 less. I mean, it's almost virtually half of what the one in gold is, and that's in part because gold has gone sort of crazy for the last few years. Well, anyway, those are some things to think about, and the alternatives that I have are, like I said, they're 2 things generally. They cost less, and on the used market, they're a lot less. So that's something to consider if you're looking at the Holy Trinity. Till next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the Art and Science of Watch Collection. And as always, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like.